is VSiN PrimeTime. Live from the Circus Sportsbook in downtown Las Vegas on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We're off and running on a Wednesday evening. It is VSiN PrimeTime. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got 2 elimination games in the NBA. We've got 2 elimination games on the ice. But the breaking news of all of it is we got Ginger Power for you the next 4 hours, ladies and gentlemen. Tim Murray, Will Hill, Ginger Power coming together. What's up, Will?
I thought you were going to say we have 2 elimination games, 2 NHL games, and 2 Gingers. That's where I thought you were going.
You know, that would have been better. We'll do the open again post-production for the podcast, yes. And we'll make sure it sounds that right. Yeah, that's right. 2, and then 2 Gingers. So we're ready to roll. I was just telling you this off air. Let's get a show sweat right away. I'm going to do a little first period under Caps Canadians. It's cashed in 3 of the 4 games. I know we've had some goalies be a little bit nicked up there, but we'll roll in the nation's capital with the Canadiens on the brink of elimination. We'll go a little first period under. So look around. I think plus 105 out there to be had. And why not a little early show sweat, Will, to get the juices flowing on a Wednesday night?
I'm with you. I tailed it with you, so we will ride together. From what I remember, we've done pretty well when we team up on these, so hopefully that can continue. When it comes to these unders, man, I'm not going to look. Baseball, I'll watch when I have an under, but basketball, if I can help it, I'd rather not watch. Hockey, I peek, I don't watch, so it's just not as fun to watch when you have the it's not an enjoyable sweat, even though it's a sweat. Your friend is the clock. You're rooting for the clock. Obviously.
You're never comfortable. You're never comfortable. Even, full game unders, God bless you. When you get empty net situations, we've seen some brutal beats throughout this postseason on empty netters with 0.7 of a second to go. So we will see. Hopefully, for our sake, we're able to get a first period under here. But we got a whole lot in store for you. Zach Cohen's going to join the program here in less than 15 minutes to help us break down these 2 elimination games in the NBA. Warriors at Rockets, 7:30 Eastern tip time down in H-Town. Minnesota at the Lakers, and that one should be a little bit after 10 o'clock Eastern, so that will be a help break it down. We'll get Hoops Peterson on to talk some baseball with us. A whole lot of Derby talk in hour number 2, Will Hill, as we've got your colleague, your partner in crime, so to speak, as we'll have the Bear, Chris Felica, on, and then Brittany Urton from NBC. She's down in Louisville right now, down at Churchill Downs. She'll join us in the second hour of the program, and Jonathan Davis to help us break down the night on ice. There'll be one final game to break down when Jonathan joins us, but tomorrow, Will, 4 games on the ice, so we will have a whole lot to talk about with JD. So, man, I'm pumped. This is after the draft. I know we get a little sad, but I don't know, man. I was doing some digging on college football today. You got these elimination games. Aaron Judge, I know that makes you happy. He already went yard at Camden Yards today. There's a whole lot going on. This ain't a downtime, baby. We're ready to rock and roll.
Oh, no, this is about as good as any time of the year, and we could have a debate. What's the best sports time of the year? It's flavors of ice cream. It depends what you like. October, when you have all the NFL, college football, and Major League Baseball playoffs. March is obviously incredible, but late April, early May, when you get these nights with NBA playoffs, NHL playoffs, Major League Baseball, full card, and then you incorporate, a little draft here or there, or the Derby here and there. These are really, really good nights, especially on the East Coast. I think you're a guy who lived on this part of the country for a while, in this part of the country for a while. It's warmer, gets lighter later. It's just it is a good vibe this time of the year. I really do enjoy it.
All right,
the games go so late too. You get hockey, NBA, which if you're trying to catch up on sleep for March Madness or whatever, it's not a great time for that because these games do go pretty late. But it's really the best.
Yeah, we had a little overtime game in my backyard last night. The Golden Knights winning in overtime against the Minnesota Wild to take that 3-2 series lead. That was a hell of a finish there with the Vegas Golden Knights getting the victory. But as we talked about, we got 2 elimination games tonight on the hardwood. So let's get to it. Let's get to our VSiN Primetime Game of the Night.
The lights are on and the stakes are high. It's the Primetime Game of the Night.
All right, let's go late night, Will Hill. This game will start right around the final hour of our program, just after 10 o'clock in the East. We're going to go Lakers and Timberwolves. 3-1, the Minnesota Timberwolves were able to get both games at home. What a game it was on Sunday afternoon in the Twin Cities. Anthony Edwards going off 40-plus for the Ant-Man, and they come back. They get the victory over the Los Angeles Lakers. And now you're paying that desperation tax, as looking back at the series spreads here in this one. Tonight, Lakers -6. Game 4, Minnesota -2.5. That one in the Twin Cities. Game 3 was Minnesota -4. Lakers were laying 5.5 in the game. They won game 2, and they were laying 4.5 in game number 1. So we talk about it all the time, Will. The desperation tax, you're paying it here, as this is the biggest spread of this 5-game series to date, with the Lakers now laying 6 against the T-Wolves tonight at Crypto.com Arena.
Breaking news, the Lakers are already in the bonus. The 4 fouls have been called on Minnesota, getting off the bus. Some dirty looks, maybe a technical. So the Lakers are going to be starting this game with, I think, 7 or 8 free throws. Yeah, I think the Lakers look at conspiracy theory stuff, but some of it, it's just the nature of the playoffs. When you're on the road, you're not going to get the whistle. Luka got tripped. They went to the review for LeBron, which is a great challenge by Finch the other day. And look, the Lakers have themselves to blame for losing the game and not going to the bench in that whole debate. I think they're going to get a friendlier whistle. They got guys with Luka and LeBron who are good at getting to line. I don't know that they're going to be able to string together 3 in a row. I was tempted by the 4-1. I saw some books at 4-1 for them to come back and win this series, which, look, if you're down 3-1, the numbers are not great for you, obviously, historically, but there's a lot of mixed in there where the team that's down 3-1 is the lower seed, is overmatched. The Lakers, it's different when you have 5 at home and 7 at home, because all you got to do is win 5, hold serve, steal 6, and all of a sudden you're favored again in 7. So it's one at a time here for the Lakers. I do think they'll get tonight. I think it's similar to game 2 when they lost game 1. They were in a gotta-have-it spot at home, and they won. They won comfortably. Minnesota was never in the game. I think we're looking at a similar path here. I do think Minnesota's got some advantages in this series in terms of their youth. Eventually, once you get past this, it's every other day in the series. Their defense, their depth. There are some boxes that Minnesota checks. My pick before the series was Minnesota plus 1.5 games. I ultimately thought the Lakers would win in 7, and I guess that is still possible. It is still possible, but I'm going to lay it here. I know you're paying a tax, but give me the Lakers minus the 6. Is this a game that you're going to bet? Have any interest in? You looking to take it or lay it or anything? Yeah,
I'm going to be dumb. I'm going to get, as I like to say, I'm going to get too cute here, Will, and I'm going to go with the La La Land money line parlay. What could go wrong? We got two LA teams on the brink of elimination at home, and you could put it together. I paid minus 108 on this, and I think around that price. So could I end up getting bit in the rear end when me and Scott tomorrow are on VSiN PrimeTime? It's certainly the case. I don't disagree with laying 6 here. This Lakers team always concerns me with holding on to lead, as we saw in game number 4 there in Minnesota. So I fully anticipate a strong start for them. I wouldn't be surprised, as you have pointed out, maybe a friendly whistle here and there. And I do think it's worth noting, as you pointed out, for the longevity of this series, but for this series, the fact that you did get those full 2 days off, right? Early game on Sunday. They were probably able to get back to Los Angeles, plenty of time to get in their beds. Off Monday, off Tuesday, with a team that their starting lineup, even though technically Jackson Hayes does start, you had, 4 players play over 40 minutes, and you had a 5 that played the whole second half. I do think the rest does help them out a little bit. But the question you got to beg here, Will, is do we see something of positivity from a Gabe Vincent? I think we've all kind of written off Jackson Hayes at this point, but can they get anything from the bench here tonight, whether it be Gabe Vincent, Jordan Goodwin, somebody just do something to give them a little bit of rest in that second half?
I would think so. It didn't work in game 4. I mean, JJ Redick can say everything he wants about, I would do it all over again, and that's not why we lost all this stuff. You got to have more faith in, Vincent's a guy who's been to a finals. Connect, can give you something. I know he's got his flaws. Throw him in for a couple minutes. Let these guys catch their breath, and then you put him back. It doesn't have to be a long breath, but 2, 3 minutes, 4 minutes of these guys should not kill you. I get why he went for the game. I really do, because I was sitting here on Live Bet Sunday with Dustin saying, you know what? Lakers down 2-1. If whoever wins this game is probably going to win the series and maybe even go to the conference finals. I know we're getting ahead of ourselves, but I thought the Lakers, if they could get it to 2-2 with 5 and 7 at home, would be in good shape to advance, and Minnesota up 3-1 in good shape to advance. So I get why you went for it, but a little extreme to not be able to, to dust off Connect, Vincent, somebody. So I would think he mixes up a little bit here tonight. But look, this is it. If you're going to treat Game 4 like Game 7, you're going to treat Game 5 like Game 7. I guess the hope is you get a big enough lead where you can put him in with some breathing room.
It is just funny when you think back to the beginning of the year and Dalton Connect, he was the steal of the draft. He was coming out. He was hitting threes. What was it, Christmas Day that he went off? It was one of those days around Christmas where he just went nuclear, and now he can't get on the floor here for the Lakers. Coming up bottom of the hour, though, we get the Houston Rockets and the Golden State Warriors, and similarly, we'll talk more about this, Will, with Zach Cohen, but similarly, you're getting that desperation text. There's even a 4.5 out there. When you look at the point spreads that we've seen so far this series, Houston 1.5 in Game 1, 4 in Game 2. That got bet up. Golden State 2 in Game 3 with Jimmy Butler out, 4 in Game 4, and now the number back in H-Town sitting at 4.5. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a little bit. Games get rolling from the NBA standpoint coming up bottom of the hour. They're singing the national anthem there in our nation's capital as Will Hill and I are going to be riding the first period under what could go wrong with Caps and Canadians. Hey, just a reminder before we get to Zachary Cohen on the other side of the break, we've got a great special going on over at VSiN.com. Our summer special, VSiN Pro Access, everything we have to offer all the way through August 1st for just $59. Daily best bets, exclusive betting splits, expert analysis, write-ups galore, lots of Kentucky Derby coverage. Our betting guide is out now, so make sure you check it out. VSiN.com/subscribe, VSIN.com/subscribe. 2 elimination games tonight, and we'll break them down more in depth with our own Zachary Cohen next. That's Will Hill. I'm Tim Murray. It is VSiN Primetime.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
We keep it rolling here on VSiN Primetime. We've got 3 games on the ice tonight, 2 games on the hardwood, and plenty of baseball to keep our eyes fixated on. As Aaron Judge mentioned this to start the show, already hit his 10th home run of the season. That came earlier. We have a couple finals from earlier today in Major League Baseball. 5 games, to be exact, have already gone final. That's Will Hill. I'm Tim Murray. And let's head to our progressive guest line and welcome in our own Zachary Cohen, who joins us right now, courtesy of our progressive guest line, to help us break down the 2 games in the NBA this evening. Maybe a look ahead to the Pacers and Cavaliers. I know plenty of people have thoughts on that series price. But let's start with the game starting at the bottom of the hour in Houston. Desperation spot, obviously. Win or go home for Houston. Down 3-1, Zach. 4.5. Couple of 4.5s popped. So maybe that's the resistance point. We've seen a little bit of under money coming in here. Side and total first before we get some prop angles from you. What do you like, if anything, from a side or total in Golden State Houston this evening?
Yeah, so I didn't play any sides or totals. For the contest, I did play Rockets -4 because I was running out of plays. Needed to make 20. I'm at 17 right now. But I do have a lean on Houston, so I don't feel terrible about that. I just think that the Rockets are in pretty good shape tonight. I think that if you look at the 2 games they played in Golden State, you saw some really, odd characters stepping up and winning those games for the Warriors. With Buddy Hield going off, Pajemski playing really well, Gary Payton II. I just don't think that those 3 guys can really be counted on the road. Similarly, I think that Jalen Green is a player that's going to get back on track in Houston. One of my plays for tonight that I actually do have is Green to go over 16.5 points. You can get that at 15.5 now. I think that's a really good play. Looking ahead to tonight's game, Ime Udoka is keeping the same starting lineup here. He said that he wants Green to remain aggressive. The last time we saw Green play in Houston, he had 38 points and was shooting the lights out from 3. So I think getting back home, being in a more comfortable environment will help him, and I think it'll help the Rockets as well.
Dak, if you like Houston tonight, do you have any interest in 6-1 or so on them to come back to win the series? 5 at home, 7 at home, or is that just asking too much for a young team?
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, I liked Houston before the series. I feel like I'm already wrong there, but I do think it'll still be competitive the rest of the way. It's hard to imagine them winning 3 games in a row, and we've seen that, their lack of a late game closer has come back to haunt them already. Some of their decision making has come back to haunt them, and I think that Ime Udoka, while I think he's a great coach, has made some mistakes as well. So that's not something I really expected in this series. I thought, pulling Steven Adams at the end of last game because of the free throw stuff, it was a little bit of a bad decision.
Betting on X is where you can find Zach on social media. You could read his work over at VSiN.com. He's got a column up, he wrote up, easy for me to say, both of these games. So let's get to the late night game, Zach. Lakers and T-Wolves. You do have a side in this particular game. The T-Wolves right now, if you look at the market, if you do like the T-Wolves, you can find a 6 out there right over my shoulder at Circa. 5.5s are out there as well. Do you think the Minnesota Timberwolves keep it competitive tonight there in Los Angeles?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a competitive game, and I think Minnesota has a chance of winning this game tonight. I just kind of think that the offensive difference between these two teams is a little bit over-exaggerated heading into the series. I think that obviously, you look at a team with Luka, LeBron, and Reeves, you expect great offensive output, but I do think that the Timberwolves are a very good defensive team, capable of slowing down that trio a little bit. And I think that Minnesota is a little bit underrated offensively, at least when going against a defense like the Lakers, which I do not think is very good. Obviously, Luka Doncic has had his struggles off the ball and on the ball in this series. I think not being able to play Hayes more than 9 minutes or so has been a nightmare for them. Just not having, anybody at the rim to guard the rim. It's just killing them against guys like Julius Randle, who can get to the basket pretty much whenever he wants because of his, his strength around the basket. And I do think Ant is another player that's getting to the basket whenever he wants. So not having a traditional center out there is killing the Lakers, and it's going to make it so that they're going to have to make shots at an insane clip in this game. And I just don't see them doing that against this defense.
Zach, I can't remember if you were a Clippers believer or not, but if you were, do you feel suckered? Are the people that believed suckers? Typical Harden late in these series. I know they still get 6 at home and 7, who knows, but where do you stand with this series, and what are your thoughts on Denver and LA?
I was absolutely a Clippers believer. I don't feel suckered because I still feel like we're talking about an Aaron Gordon tip at the buzzer, and this could have been a completely different series if that doesn't, end up going down. Obviously, James Harden looked terrible in Game 5, and that's now where you shift the nerve-wrackingness, like moving forward in this series is, will he get back on track in Game 6 and potentially Game 7? I do think that the Nuggets have figured them out a little bit, especially offensively, but I don't expect the Denver defense to hold up the way that it did in Game 5 when playing in Los Angeles. Again, I still think, even looking back to Game 4, the Clippers outplayed them for most of that game. I mean, actually, the Nuggets outplayed them for most of that game, but the Clippers were just playing really sloppy. When they wanted to turn it on, they were able to in that fourth quarter, and they just did a little too late.
Yeah, when you think back to Game 1, I think a lot of us were thinking, all right, destined for 7 games, and then Game 3 happens, and I'm with you, Zach, and obviously we work with the world's largest Clipper fan and Jonathan Von Tobel, and after Game 3 I'm like, all right, I feel good where I was pre-series, and now here we are down 3-2, and you're like, typical Clippers, right? But I'm with you. I talked about the bet that I put together, and it's probably going to bite me in the rear end, putting the 2 Los Angeles teams at home together in a money line parlay here over the next 2 nights. But I think they take care of business tomorrow night. That said, Game 7, man, that's going to be fascinating if we get there. Obviously, I'm counting my chickens here, but looking ahead to tomorrow night, Zach, would you be interested in laying it with the Clippers? How would you look to attack that particular game tomorrow night with the Clippers hosting the Nuggets?
Yeah, that's where it's odd for me. I'm not comfortable laying 7 when we've seen the Nuggets kind of hang around and win, the last 2 games. Yeah. So if I were going to take anything in this game, it would be Denver +7, but I do think the Clippers win on the money line. So I don't hate what you did with that money line parlay. I'd maybe do Rockets money line with Clippers money line as well. Sure. That's an option where you probably get a better payout.
Yep.
Pistons, Knicks, as someone, I'm just going to vent for a second. I had Pistons to win the series in 6 at 9-1, then at 12-1. I feel like I deserved better, but as they say in the wire, deserves got nothing to do with it. Pistons, because easily have won the series 4-1, 5-0. All right, enough of my complaining. What happens tomorrow, Pistons and Knicks?
You're right. I mean, you handicapped it really well. They have outplayed the Knicks for most of this series, and I do think that Detroit is going to win when they go back home for Game 6. I know this is a team that has really struggled to win home playoff games in the past, but I do think that they have figured out the Knicks completely, especially the Knicks defense, where they're just not able to guard the Cade and Duren pick and roll where, Thompson is floating along the baseline, kind of taking advantage of all the Knicks players that fall asleep off the ball. That was, Jalen Brunson in game 5 just was not doing a good enough job of paying attention to Thompson along the baseline. And I think that defensively, the Knicks are letting them off the hook by just not running enough pick and roll with Brunson and Cat, not running enough post-ups with Cat. Like, I don't think Duren is a very good defender. So the fact that we're not seeing them taking advantage of that and also taking advantage, of the matchups where Tobias Harris is guarding Towns is the type of thing where, like, it's really easy from the outside to say that New York should be doing this and should be doing that, but they might not have been working on it all season. Like, I think that Tibbs is a really stubborn coach. He might not have something else in his back pocket to throw at them next game. That's why I think that the Pistons are going to figure it out, because I just don't think we're going to see many changes from the Knicks.
Talking once again to Zachary Cohen, helping us break down the NBA action today, tomorrow, and maybe looking ahead a little bit. Before we get fully ahead of ourselves here, Zach, I do want to take one step back because you wrote it up for the website. In addition to T-Wolves plus the points, you also looked at a player prop here involving Julius Randle, who's had a tremendous series, has been a bit of a matchup nightmare for the Lakers. So what did you play tonight with Julius Randle from a prop angle?
Yeah, so I went Randall over 19.5 points, which he has hit 3 games in a row pretty easily. He hit it in the first half of last game, and it's the type of thing, like I said it before, like without Jackson Hayes out there, there's really nobody that can deter him from getting to the basket. I mean, LeBron and Dorian Finney-Smith, those are guys that are going to try to body him up, but Randall is really, really strong. He's pretty fast for a guy his size. He's also a pretty good shooter. He's shooting 45% from 3 in this series, and while that might not keep up, if he knocks down 1 or 2 in this game, that does a really good job of just kind of cutting into that 20 points that you need out of him. And you combine that with what he's going to get you at the basket, what he's going to get you getting to the free throw line. It just seems like a very reasonable number given the matchup.
Zach, were you a belief OKC Boston final coming in, or do you see anything to get you off that pick now in the final minute here?
I did think it was going to be Boston OKC. I was never willing to back the Thunder. I've always been kind of looking for longer shots and just hoping that somebody trips them up along the way. But I do think that's where we're heading, especially after, that first round. Though I will say the way that the Cavaliers beat the Heat, kind of getting better in games 3 and 4 in a series where, there were question marks with Kenny Atkinson versus Eric Spoelstra, just how that would look game by game, because Spoelstra is such a good, adjustments coach throughout his career. I thought the way that the Cavaliers just got better and just kind of beat them down in games in 3 and 4 was very impressive, though I do think the Cavaliers are in for a really tough series against the Pacers.
Follow him on social media at Betting on X. Read him over at VSiN.com. He's our senior editor, Zachary Cohen. Zach, always appreciate it, man.
Thanks, guys.
There he is. Zach Cohen helping us break it down, courtesy of our progressive guest line. All right, little update. 6 minutes in, still no goals. We're not counting chickens yet, but we like where we're headed. We like this. Still scoreless between the Caps and the Canadians. All right, we will give you some final thoughts before tip-off out in Houston, as the Rockets right now a 4.5 point favorite against the Golden State Warriors. It's Ginger Power tonight here on VSiN Primetime. That's Will Hill. I'm Tim Murray. Much more to come as we continue to get you ready for all the action on a busy Wednesday night.
This is VSiN Primetime on VSiN, the sports betting network.
I don't like power plays. I don't like power plays when you've got a first period under. Canadians on the power play right now in the nation's capital, scoreless between Washington and Montreal. Caps called for a penalty just a moment ago, and right now trying to fight off this power play situation. I think the Canadians just called for a penalty, so it looks like we're going to get some 4-on-4 hockey. It's never easy. It's never easy when you've got an under in the first period like we do right now. That's Will Hill. I'm Tim Murray. Coming up in just a little bit, we get the Golden State Warriors and the Houston Rockets. We'll take a look at some of the betting splits, but let's get you folks updated on where we sit. Earlier today with Gil Alexander, Will Hill was on there, and you gave out a best bet on the diamond there, Will. So how are we looking at the best bet that he gave to the Numbers Game Nation?
Yeah, so far so good. Over, I don't know if it was 9 or 9.5 what I gave it out. The way things are going, it shouldn't matter. 4-2 Orioles lead the Yankees. Yankees led 2-0. Judge homered. And then I didn't see how the Orioles scored, but they have been hammering Carrasco. You just see line drive after line drive. Carrasco, look, he's had a decent career. just not a major league pitcher at this point. That's a ballpark where they move the fences in. The runs are typically scored there. Yankees have a habit of scoring runs there too. And the Orioles have some flaws. Their pitching staff is not good. They struggle against lefties, but the reason they struggle against lefties, they got a lot of left-handed bats. So they do okay against righties. I figured they'd score some runs here. So hopefully we can get that one home. You play anything in baseball tonight or no?
Nothing in baseball here tonight. I do like to keep tabs on my win total. That is the over on the Cincinnati Reds, which did not have a good start to the day with the Reds getting shut out by the Cardinals in Game 1 of a doubleheader and are down 5-0 in the second game of said doubleheader. So not an awesome start to the day for that, but nothing on the card. But hey, the night is young, and we've got a handful of other games still to come here. But we have had a bunch of games, and breaking news, the Colorado Rockies did get a win today. So congratulations to the Rockies. Now a strong 5-24, Will Hill. At what point, I'm always curious, because you are one who dabbles in the dark arts of betting baseball on a daily basis. At what point do the Rockies, oh, son of a gun, as Alex Ovechkin on the power play scores a goal, and that's, at some point you'd think he would just not allow the greatest goal scorer of all time to score on the power play. But now we've got 10 minutes and 48 seconds of sweat here, Will. Here we go.
Should be fun.
Here we go.
A fun 10:48.
Buckle up as Alex Ovechkin does it, I think, for the third time this postseason. The most prolific goal scorer. Is he going to score from it? No, he scored off of the faceoff, and man, that dude, him and LeBron continuing to excel at their and Steph Curry at their extended ages. But Alex Ovechkin gets it, the first goal for. It's funny, I was reading tweets, Will, of folks who are at the game. Being that I'm from DC and how many people I know are covering this game, and the constant discussion was, sluggish start here for the Caps. Don't like what I'm seeing. I'm like, ooh, do we take a little in-game price? Well, good thing I didn't, because now the Caps are, after that goal, let's take a look at the live line. They are minus 410 right now on the live line with that goal.
You ever jump in these hockey spots, these teams that fall behind at bigger numbers? I know it's a popular thing, and Humans and I have been doing it the past couple nights with NBA, and I really probably should do it more. Not that I bet a ton of NBA sides during the regular season, but man, you get some big swings in these NBA games. These teams, go from being down 10 to up 4 in the blink. When do you do that with hockey, or you're more of a pregame bettor? Not
so much hockey. Look, I'll be honest. Hockey. Jonathan Davis is going to join us later on in the show. There's some great hockey handicappers out there. I wouldn't deem myself one of them, but you got to get involved a little bit, especially in the playoffs here. Picking your spots, and I joked, Will, that there was a hockey play that I really liked. It was the end of the regular season. It was Calgary and Vegas. Vegas had locked up the division. Calgary, at that point in time, needed to win in order to keep their postseason hopes alive. So I convinced Humans to bet it, and it was just an ultimate sweat fest. We were super fortunate. They were down 2 goals going into the third period. They tied it up. They had to go to a shootout. And Humans, I think, said never again, I think was his exact words on betting hockey. So I don't know if I could convince him again. But I think to your point, and that's what's so great about doing our show, right, is that we get to watch these games and to see the angles. And for basketball especially, I mean, think about last night. I mean, look, it's rare, I think the stat was like 1,100 plus and 0 were teams who are up by 7 with 40 seconds to go in the postseason until the Bucks blew it last night. But think about the opportunities you've had, whether it be the T-Wolves or, the last night with the Pacers, or hell, even the Clippers on Sunday or Saturday, when they lost that game, they were down 22. I mean, the numbers you probably could have got in that game were enormous.
Yeah, it's the old saying, everybody makes a run in the NBA, and there is certainly a lot of truth to that. So, look, it's tough for us because we're talking about these games before they start, and you want to give out sides. It's bad content. Well, I'll wait for it live, but that's really not a bad approach, because whatever number you like, whatever team you like, there's a decent chance better than decent chance you're going to get a better number in game at some point.
All right. They are just about to tip it off, Houston and Golden State. We will obviously keep our eyes very close on that one, see if there are a couple angles for us to get in from an in-game standpoint. Who
do you like there? Do you like anyone there?
I kind of like Golden State. And maybe we can get, an adjusted number. I'm trying to think back. What was that year? I think it was the year they won the title.
I know exactly what you're going to talk about. I said the same thing on a numbers game. You're going to talk about Golden State when they were up 3-1 against Memphis, and they lost by 100.
They were sitting on the sideline. They were dancing to whoop that trick. They were like, whatever, who cares? And they went back home. So I was like, there's part of me.
I brought the same game up today. That was exactly my thinking in picking Houston minus the 4. I'm completely with you.
Yeah, because look, you've got an older team that. We saw it right when this team got banged up. We had Pat Spencer out there getting quality minutes for the Golden State Warriors in this particular series. So I want to be on Golden State, but I do wonder if this is a situation potentially where the Houston Rockets take care of business, but we're underway. Golden State gets the first bucket of the game, so 2-0 early lead there for the Golden State Warriors. The other game going on right now in the playoffs, 1-0 Capitals leading the Montreal Canadiens. A power play goal from the Great Eight. Alex Ovechkin makes it 1-0, and Alex Ovechkin, I believe, his 4th goal of this playoff series. So the Capitals, despite being outshot by the Canadiens 9-2, have a 1-0 lead thanks to Alex Ovechkin on the power play. And Will Hill and I'm going to feel terrible. Now, Will, it's one thing to let our listeners down. I let them down every day, but to let you down would really hurt me inside. So we gotta hold strong here over the final 9 minutes to get this first period under home.
No, you wouldn't have to feel bad about it. Just send me the money. You'll feel better.
Hopefully for the numbers game army, we continue to get it home here. The Orioles lead 4-2 in this one. I do want to get some thoughts, of course, of what we could see. And officially we have a loser. There it is. The Capitals score 2 goals, and we are toast as the Capitals, my hometown team, not helping me out. And it looks like the Caps should be in good shape to advance on to the second round. This would be their first time advancing, Will, to the second round of the postseason since they won the Stanley Cup in 2018.
Wow, that's a remarkable stat. I wouldn't have thought that off the top of my head. Is Venmo or Cash App, PayPal? What's easiest for you?
Venmo. I'm a Venmo guy. I'll send you that Venmo. But
the Cap, it looked so promising. We went would the no goal first 10 minutes or so? Would that have won? I don't have it on in front of me.
Yeah, I think so. And, the way the Caps are playing, look at this. The Caps have 4 shots on goal and now 2 goals. So 2-0 Caps have the lead over the Montreal Canadiens. Let's take a look at the live line. You mentioned it, getting in at some crazy prices. Look, if you think the Canadiens are going to fight, you can get them on the puck line plus 2.5, plus 110 right now. So
what are we looking at for a money line?
Plus 575 at DraftKings is what we're looking at. Yeah. If the Canadiens can come back and force a game number 6 here against the Washington Capitals. The Caps trying to exercise their demons from 2010 when Yaroslav Halak was clamping it down against the President's Cup winning Washington Capitals. So 2-0 the score there. We're going to have to bounce back. All right, we're going to start chasing after we gave out a loser there. Golden State early 8-5 lead, 10 minutes to go in the first quarter. We'll obviously keep you updated on that game as well. Hey, just a reminder, folks, Edge Boost is the first ever bank account built for bettors, ensuring all gambling transactions are approved. No usage fees, no minimums. Earn cashback rewards, 100% approval for all betting deposits. Sign up today, edgeboost.bet. The promo code is PRIME, P-R-I-M-E. Deposit $25 and Edge Boost will match the deposit. The website again, edgeboost.bet. Moving on to the Eastern Conference semifinals. Will they be live dogs against the Cleveland Cavaliers? We'll discuss and also continue to get you ready for later tonight with the Lakers.
This is VSiN PrimeTime on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
It is VSiN PrimeTime. Busy second hour coming up as we'll talk some baseball, handicap the rest of the slate, look ahead. There's not a ton left on the slate as most of the games are either earlier today or going on right now, but we'll talk to Hoops Peterson coming up top of the hour. Kentucky Derby, the most exciting 2 minutes in sports. Chris Felica and Brittany Urton both scheduled to join us in the next hour of the program. Will Hill, do you have some exciting Derby plans? I could see the Will Hill Army getting out there, having a big old Derby party, big hats galore there in Connecticut.
Now that you mention it, I'm embarrassed to say I don't.
No?
I feel like I should, but I'll watch it and then I'll lose money on it probably like I usually do every year, and then get ready for the next race. So I don't know if I feel bad for the experts coming on. Just don't want me tanning your pick. I think I hit one or two of these. I usually bet the big races, but remember Commanding Curve maybe in like the Belmont in 2015 or so. There was another year I hit one, but I don't know. It's just it's recreation. These are it's hard to win horse racing. The handle's big. I know some of the real experts will play the matchups and just kind of attack it from that standpoint. But it's a Derby. It's it's something where you throw a little pizza money on it and you just kind of enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. How about you? Have you had success here handicapping the ponies?
Oh no. Yeah.
It's tough.
We'll listen to the Bear. We'll listen to Brittany, and also check out our Derby guide. Mike Somich, Adam Burke. I know plenty of others have contributed to our Derby guide, which is available now. So check that out, vsin.com. Well, we like to keep you updated on things here on VSiN Primetime. So let's hit the NBA game, and you and I are now kicking ourselves a little bit. It's early, and we'll see how this ultimately plays out. But the Houston Rockets at the first media timeout lead 20-8. So a strong start here for the Houston Rockets. And, another one of those situations where you look at the tax you had to pay on the desperation spot, a game where the point spread went off 4.5, and then you look at the first quarter and it was 1.5, 2. But man, you look at the score now, Will, and you're like, well, may have been worth it. All right, hold on. We got some fireworks at Camden Yards. We got the bullpens coming out. We got some discussion going on, Will. So 4-2, Orioles and Yankees. And we got some bad blood between the old Yanks and the Orioles right now. We got a little benches clearing. Looks like your typical baseball situation. Bunch of talking, no swinging. But I don't know what led to this. But we have the doors of the bullpen opened up, and we had some guys running out.
I think maybe somebody on the Yankees convinced somebody on the Orioles to take the first period under in Montreal, Washington, and they're exchanging words for that reason.
Yeah, so we will keep our eyes out there. 4-2 the score. Maybe a hard slide.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking, because they show the runner at second. Usually with this stuff, it's a beanball or an inside pitch, but they were showing that there's a guy in second, so maybe that's the only thing I can think of. But like you said, typical baseball skirmish where they run out of the bullpen. Yeah, they scream and yell, but nobody. This is not. Were you old enough to remember the old Yankees Orioles one where it was like Graham Lloyd and Darryl Strawberry and they were throwing haymakers going into the dugout? That was like a real brawl, but you don't get too many of those.
Sounds about right. It's funny. Jeffrey Hammond, the play in right field was one that was kind of. I remember hearing about it. What was the kid's name? Jeffrey Mayer. Jeffrey Mayer. There it is. Yeah. That was I don't know how old it was, 8 or 9, somewhere in that ballpark, when the Orioles were good, and then they were irrelevant for about a decade and a half before coming back to life with Buck Showalter as their manager, like 2012.
Sure. Well umpired game, by the way, Jeffrey Mayer.
We do have a goal to tell you about, and we already told you about our losing bet, unfortunately, as the Capitals scored not 1 but 2 goals in the first period as they lead the Canadiens 2-0 right now in the nation's capital. Alex Ovechkin scored the game's first goal there. We do have a goal in Tampa. The Lightning have a 1-0 lead right now, so they strike first, and the Lightning against the Panthers now a -195 favorite in that game, Will. So that game just in the corner screen here. I saw the goal be scored, but this is a game that went off as a pick'em. Early goal for Tampa, and maybe to your point, maybe this is that spot to potentially look at someone like the Panthers in game. Remember, Panthers, they are up 3-1, so they are the team that are facing the desperation squad in the Tampa Bay Lightning, but maybe this could be the spot to look at someone like the Florida Panthers, where right now you could get them at plus 150 on the money line as they trail 1-0 just 5 minutes into that game.
Yeah, I was doing the show with Matt Humans yesterday, and it was 3-0. I think Devils over the Hurricanes. I didn't see what the live money line was on that one, but Oilers, the Oilers game the other day, they came back from a huge deficit. So yeah, if you pick your spots, like NBA, like any of these sports, you pick your spots, you can certainly get some big numbers. Man, the left fielder in Minnesota, Cleveland, there's a man on second, nobody out, and the left fielder in Minnesota made one of the best catches you'll ever see, just completely laid out in the corner to save a run as you're monitoring all the baseball here.
Of
Still
course.
not playing in Yankees Orioles. I don't know what's going on here. Yankees Orioles where the delays, why they're what has caused this delay, or what caused that brouhaha.
As soon as we say it, what happens? The Panthers, they score. Go on the power play, they score. They went from plus 150, now a pick'em between the Panthers and the Lightning. 1-1 the score there in Tampa. And once again, Tampa down 3-1, trying to stave off elimination. But the Panthers score on the power play, and they tie that game up at 1. So another first period over. So 2 games that have hit the first period over in their respective games here this evening. So maybe we have to wait until a little bit later on in these particular series. So still to come tonight, we got the Lakers taking on the Minnesota Timberwolves, trying to stave off elimination. I alluded to it, and I'm curious your thoughts on Pacers and Cavaliers, where I think to the casual fan, you might be a little bit surprised to look at this series price and see how big it is in favor of the Cleveland Cavaliers. They're minus $5 at a number of shops. We've got, I think Circa is at $4.75, but the more and more I thought about it, and I texted with JVT a little bit about it today too, man, this could be a tricky matchup for the Pacers. I wanted to get cute here, take maybe the Pacers on a series price, but I haven't pulled the trigger on anything just yet. I think this Cavaliers team, coming off of just their absolute curb stomping of the Miami Heat, maybe this team is just deserves maybe a little bit more respect in the market. So they're getting it in this series at minus $5. What do you make of this series, Pacers and Cavs? Can the Pacers be competitive here? Remember, a year ago, they were surprisingly competitive in that Eastern Conference Finals against the Boston Celtics. Yeah,
they were. That was a weird series, sort of similar to the Pistons-Knicks series, where they lost all 4, but kind of could have won all 4 from what I remember. Most of those games were close. I don't know. I'm torn between Cavs and 5, Cavs and 6. I don't think they sweep. That would be disrespectful. I wouldn't be shocked if they swept, but I think it's a little disrespectful. I don't think it's going 7. I don't think the Pacers can actually win. So I don't know. I think flip a coin somewhere between 5 and 6. I could see a scenario where the Cavs get both of them at home in Cleveland, go up 2-0, get their split in Indy, then close it out in 5. Like you said, the Cavs, I kind of just brushed them off as a regular season team. Sometimes we get these in the NBA. Remember the Atlanta Hawks, like decade or so ago with with the team they had. It's like, oh, is this team for real? They get in the playoffs and LeBron's Cavs just slaughter them. They could never hold up. I was feeling like that with Cleveland, but one game in the regular season changed my mind when they were down 25-3 against Boston in Boston and won that game. Maybe, you know what? Maybe I've been underestimating them. The way they absolutely dismantled Miami has made me reconsider them. So that'll be interesting if we do get the Boston-Cleveland conference finals like we all expect, and I do think we'll get it. What that series price will be, I'm sure Boston will be favored, but I'm not sure that's going to be the right price there. So again, if I can get a decent number on like Cavs in 5 or 6, I'd probably lean towards the 5 side, but I don't see much of a threat here for the Cavs. Do you?
No, initially I was like, maybe the Pacers. The more I thought about it and, kind of dug into it, I'm like, I don't know. And, do you like to play the exact results at all, which is
correct series score?
You could do that, or you could play the win game 1, win the series price. So
right.
The win game 1, win the series price for the Cavaliers. So current series price, once again, minus $5. To win game 1 and win the series is minus $1.85. So it's expensive, but, a home game on Sunday, going to be pretty amped up there. Pacers coming off of that emotional victory, buzzer beater, whatever the shenanigans was there with Ty Halliburton's dad. I think the Cavaliers should take care of business on Sunday, and I'm with you. I think they win this series. So it's expensive, but I might look that particular route, win game 1 and win the series.
Not a bad way to do it, and give credit to these books. There's so many ways to play this stuff. Over, under, number of games in the series, correct series score, series spread, win game 1 and the series, etc. So there's a lot of ways to play it.
A lot of ways to get plays from sharpplays.com, and you want to check it out because that's where the real bettors go to get ahead. Sharpplays.com, respected, watched, and feared. The website, once again, sharpplays.com. Hoops Peterson, he joins us next right here on VSiN.